Okay. We you should have received an olive green small zipper bag blank from Kimberbell. We emailed out the design to you with the instructions with the link that you're using currently tonight. So you have all of that, the videos, the step-by-step videos on how to do the embroidery as well as to stitch this into this cute little bag are in editing and they are on their way here after this class, not tonight after this class, but in a day or so when we're finished, all your videos will come to you. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about this. We're not going to actually stitch out the mustache and the word man bag because I feel that at this many months in, we're 5 months into Kimberbell, we should all be pretty comfortable with applique. And then this is just surface stitching for the word man bag. So it's going to be just a pretty basic embroidery. It takes literally just a couple minutes. The longest part is hooping and trimming. Yeah, everybody can have one of these for Father's Day. You can make these for whomever you need to for Father's Day. But lots of people are um telling me that, maybe they don't necessarily need this that says man bag. They want to see how to put a monogram on it instead or change it up. They feel like maybe it was too small for um, whoever the man is that is going to be carrying it. But it does fit, just so you know, it does fit a full size man's razor. This is a Harry's travel razor. It has a fancy case. Uh-oh, we have a fancy travel case, and it's got extra blades fit in there, and it's got some shave. Yeah, you could get a little. I didn't have a little shaving cream, but this is some post shave balm. It was a whole little kit. My husband looked at me and said, "Why are you ordering a travel razor set and mustaches?" And I said, "It's for work." And he said, "All right." So it does fit. You could put a little travel toothbrush and travel toothpaste in there. So you could pack nut. This would be good size to put in your carry-on. So if you have a guy that travels a lot with just a carry-on, it wouldn't be this over big bag that they don't necessarily need. And it's pretty creative how they squared off the bottom and the sides, added this little handle using the leather to create that with. So we're going to talk a little bit about how that goes together tonight. I don't know that we'll complete a whole bag just because we don't want to take up all the time doing that. But I'm going to talk about some points and things that you want to kind of pay attention to, and maybe some different products that we haven't used before. Um, and then you'll also get the video on how to stitch this all together. But also be aware in your instructions, if you just can't wait for my video to get there and you need some extra help, Kimberbell did a quickie little video on your instruction sheet. There's a QR code that you can scan with your camera on your smartphone or your tablet, and it will take you to the website. And there's a little 2 or 3 minute video that kind of shows you a quickie version of stitching it all together. So you've got that in your instructions, but we're going to send you a much more detailed video on the way. Mustaches are itchy. Um, so we'll talk a little bit about kind of the stitching process, but before we even start that, I kind of want to show you some of the other fun things we did. So these zipper bags are great. You can just stitch cute little designs on them, finish them up, and they make great gifts, teacher gifts, just quickie wedding gifts or shower gifts or things like that, bridesmaids. You can do quick little things like that. So the zipper bags are just a great blank to have kind of in your stash. The felt ones come in gray, olive green, and a light pink. Then there are also the velveteen ones that are in the mustard, the teal, and navy. There might be one more color that I'm forgetting. but they come in 2 different sizes. There's a 6x9, 6x8, 6x9, and a 7x10 inch size. So one of the questions right off the bat was, well, can we use the bigger size to make the bag? You can use the bigger size to make a bigger bag. There is some adaptations to measurements and sizes. So I played a little bit with that, and I will give you the details on how I did that. But also it's going to be, there's going to be some differences. So this one is the larger bag size. I know, I have too many cameras. So this one is the larger bag size, and on it it has the nail polish and the lipstick and the hair dryer that are from the collection Mug Rugs 4. Mug Rugs 4. Yeah, that's right. And I just took that design in my software and kind of took it apart. I took out all the background stitching, and I just left these 3 little elements that I wanted, and I saved them as a file all on their own. And then I also, from that one, and I used a yellow thread, which was probably not great because you can't see it. It says it's glow time with a pair of scissors. So that's part of the same design. I just cut them apart and made them into 2 individual designs. I stitched them on either side of the bag. You wouldn't have to put leather on the bottom, but you would have to put something on the bottom. Otherwise, it's going to be even smaller. When you box it in, this makes it a little bit bigger when you're talking on this one. On this one, you could do without the leather. It just wouldn't have as much. So, okay. So on here, I did extend the handle out and make it a little bit longer. I kept it the same width, so 1¼ inches like the instructions said, but I made it 2 inches longer. I made it 8 inches instead of 6. And then one of the things I did a little bit different was I used the leather, but I only ran it across the bottom. I didn't have it so that it would run up the sides like on the original version. Um, And really, that was not like an intentional thing to begin with. It started out, I actually had my leather wider so that it would come up. But as I started to play with it, I realized if I did that, I couldn't make my design as big. I was going to have to shrink it down, and I was afraid it was going to come. So I preferred that my design was a little bigger and that I just used the leather on the base so that it gives it that kind of sturdy foundation. So I actually ended up using the leather in the same, on the bottom, in the same size pieces that I did here, just a little bit longer, the same width, just a little bit longer to go with this coordinating bag. So you could definitely make these a little wider and have them wrap up on the edge if you wanted your design to be a little bit smaller, but I wanted my design a little bigger. I've had questions of, and I'll kind of address this as we look at something, because we actually cover part of this felt bag with the leather. Could you just move the leather down? Well, you definitely could do that, but if you do, you're going to also have to extend your lining somehow. So those are things to kind of think about as you're playing with this, and we'll kind of talk more about that as we go. But also, like I said, we've got different color felt bags. So this is the gray felt bag. And instead of using leather for his mustache, I used Minky or Cuddle for the mustache. And I made it for Grandpa instead of for just a man, whoever man is, the man's bag. So I made this for a grandpa bag. And I'm going to show you how I did this on the sewing machine or on the embroidery machine. You could do it in software if you have software, but I'm going to show you how to do it on the machine, just in case some of you don't have software. And then a few other adaptations, and we're going to play a little bit with this. This is one of those plastic cups that the inside comes out, and you usually put paper or photographs or things like that in it. I did embroidery on fabric for it and made a cute little milk cup. And we have these little plastic cups here at the store. They're super fun. I can't wait to embroider all kinds of things to put inside of them. So that's another little idea. This one I used Shape Creator on my sewing machine to create the rectangle shape, and then I just added the mustache on top, added some ribbon, and tied it around a milk bottle with a milk mustache straw. Super cute for a little, maybe you're having a baby boy. That would be fun for a little baby boy shower. Not a boar, a baby boy shower. A baby born in your house would be rough. This one is done on the Kimberbell cardstock. You could do it on any cardstock, but I just took the mustache from the design, yes. Yeah, so Kimberbell has discontinued their watercolor cards. We still have some in stock at both stores, so we can hook you up with those, but they're a lot of fun to do different card styles with. But I just took the mustache off, did the applique just like regular using I used a sticky tearaway stabilizer, and I did the mustache with the glitter. So I know it's hard to tell the difference between the glitter and the leather on camera, but this has the glitter vinyl on it. And then I just have a fantastic Father's Day with my embroidery as well. So that all stitched on the machine as well. So lots of fun things that we can do. And then I got in the mood to think about Christmas and how fun. I used the Kimberbell hooped Christmas ornaments. I went into my software and I blanked out the inside of the ornament and I added the mustache. Well, the original mustache was way too big. So I just used my resize and I sized it down to fit in the size of the hoop. And then I added words stashing through the snow. And it's the only way I can see. So that is just another little idea on how you can adjust and change this design. And then this one probably is one of my favorites. You got to think outside the box because, I mean, there's lots of cute things we can do with mustaches, but like I'm in a house of all girls except for my husband, so there's not a lot of use for who doesn't have a mustache. So there's not a lot of use for mustache things in my house. But I thought, what a perfect little Christmas tree that these mustaches would make. So you've got to look at designs differently than just what they're given to you as. Because in here, all I had to do was take the mustache into my software and increase the size by a percentage a few times and decrease the size by a percentage a few times and stack them up. I added a star and the words Candy Stash. I used a green glitter vinyl instead of black or black leather, and I stitched them out on a piece of cloth. From there, I used the AccuQuilt stocking die cutter and cut my stocking out to make a quick and easy Christmas stocking. Isn't that fun? I love it. I love it. And there's some, we've got some video tips on how to edit designs, how to change things. So these are all things that if we haven't made an exact video on this, we've made something that is doing a similar technique. So you can always see how that works. So now that you've kind of seen how I went wild with mustaches in my projects for the last week or so, I want to talk a little bit about how the leather gets added onto the bag and how the handle's created. So I'm going to have you switch over here. You might see Liz for just a second because we're switching cameras. Or you might screen. All right. Let's turn, nope, that's gonna make you upside down. Sorry, I'm not trying to make you sick. I'm just trying to get you a better angle here. Okay. So this is the pink felt bag, and I've embroidered, instead of doing the mustache and man bag, I used lips that were on my sewing machine. These were a built-in embroidery design on, they're on a lot of the Husqvarna models. These little lips are, and then I just added the word hers using my fonts that are built in on my embroidery machine. So I did this, and I used the placement stitch, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, on how I changed the word grandpa. So I'm going to show you that too. It's going to work the same way as how I created this hers design with the lips. But for now, what I want to talk to you about is how we add the leather and how we go about, when you picked up your blank, or if you stopped in, there was a piece, an optional piece for you to buy of fusible sticky backed stabilizer, a sheet of this from Kimberbell. It is a comparable product to something like Steam-A-Seam 2. So it's a double-sided fusible webbing, but it's sticky on one side. So the reason that this was called for in this project is because we actually take one piece of leather for the base and one piece of stabilizer that's the same size, the fusible sticky back, and we peel away the paper backing. If I can get my fingernails under it. There we go. And you just discard the paper. And from there, you're going to stick the sticky side to the back side of your leather. And it's repositionable. So like if you get it on there and it's not quite right, you can kind of pull it up and move it around. I would have to go downstairs and look. I have it written down there. Okay, once you have that fusible sticky piece on there, the side that's going to be up now, this is not sticky anymore, but it is fusible. So what you're going to do is you're going to do that with both pieces of the leather and the sticky back fusible. I got my air conditioning unit fixed up here today, ladies, because, you know, if we're going to be allowed to start having classes again, I didn't want it to be hot. It's going to blow me away, I think, in all my stabilizer. So I get those two pieces fused on there, or stuck on there. They're not fused there, they're just stuck at this point. And then with your ruler and a water-soluble marker, you're going to mark your placement line for these. Now, in your directions, you're going to find a couple different important steps when it comes to marking things. So when we're on the step where we mark for our placement line, if you read the directions, it has us mark or measure 1.5 inches down from the zipper, from the actual zipper, not the edge of the zipper, not the stitching, but the actual center line of the zipper. So you measure down 1.5 inches from there to mark it. But when we come back to this side, where we're going to mark the lines for our leather, if you read in the instructions, it's going to have us mark along the edge of the zipper where it's stitched to the fabric, okay? So you're not always using the same point on the zipper or the top of the bag to measure down. So make sure you're paying close attention to that in the instructions, or you could end up, you know, 1/4 inch off on some of your measurements. So from here, we're going to measure from the edge of the zipper 3¼ inches down. So I've got my 1/4 inch line right on that stitching line where the edge of the fabric is stitched to the zipper. And then I'm just going to take my water-soluble pin and mark that line. And then I'm going to turn and I'm going to do the same thing on this side, marking from the seam on this side of the zipper. So it's not going to be from the same place on both sides. I'm going to turn it around, put my 3 1/4 inch line on that stitching line, and mark across this side. And that's how I get my leather placement positions. Once I have those, then I can take my piece of leather that I've put the fusible webbing on, and I'm just going to center it across and put the top edge of that leather right on that line across. Okay? And when I do that, then I'm going to take a pressing cloth. I'm going to cover this up. And I'm going to heat this with my iron. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So this is where I was talking about that leather does cover up part of the bag when we're stitching it. If you were to attach this leather to the bottom of the felt bag, you would also have to extend out your lining, or that's not going to match up when you go to finish the bag. So that's why when people have asked, well, can't I just do it down there and it'll be bigger? Well, you can, but you're going to have to make the lining bigger as well. Otherwise, it's not going to fit. So, of course, I turned my iron off, so it's heating up real quick. But in the meantime, you also have 2 smaller pieces, 1 1/4 by 6 inches, that are going to be your handle. 2 pieces of leather, exactly the same, and 1 piece of the fusible back sticky. So you're going to peel away that paper again, and you're going to stick it to one inside of one of those pieces of leather. And then you're going to take the other piece. So you're going to have right sides out, wrong sides together. I'm going to cover this up with my pressing cloth. I'm going to heat that up with the iron to activate the glue. And I will tell you, when you are done heating up the glue and the leather, I let mine sit for a minute because it gets really hot to touch it. It will be warm on your fingers. And it'll look a little darker in color too. As it cools off, that'll go away. But you always want to use a pressing cloth. But this is just going to activate that glue. So like these 2 are now stuck together. They are now my handle. My pressing sheet wants to stick to my leather too. And then I'm just going to line this one up here. You could take the little mustache and do his and her bags, the lips and the mustache. That would be cute. Yeah, but I had no idea that mustaches were like such a big decorating thing for kids' birthday parties. It was all over the place. So then I'm going to let those cool for a minute because they're pretty warm from there. And then we're going to do some top stitching. Now, if you're like me and you didn't get this perfectly stuck straight on there, I just took my rotary cutter and trimmed the edges to make the white go away. real easy. I'm not going to do that tonight just because you don't want to watch me trim, but you just trim that off real easy. But then we're just going to top stitch right along the edge here and here. That's okay. Oh, gotcha. Liz tried to pull our whole tech system off onto the floor. She got tangled up in the cords. She thought she was disconnecting all of you. I'm going to move you guys just a second here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to get you down in close. So on the machine now, I have the right edge top stitching foot. There's also a left edge top stitching foot, similar concept. It's just which side you put the fabric to. But it has a nice channel or groove in the bottom of it. This is really makes top stitching easy, and I really like it for this project because you can make it go nice and smoothly. I can just line this up right with the edge of my groove in my presser foot and take my stitch length a little bit longer since I'm doing some top stitching. So I take it to a 3.0, and then I can move my needle position over so that it's in a nice place to do my top stitching. And then I'm just going to start to sew. I left my foot control downstairs, so I'm going foot control-less here. But this groove in the top stitching foot's really nice because it kind of just runs right along it, and it makes it so much easier to have a nice, straight, pretty top stitch. Because I don't know about you all, but I don't do so hot sewing straight all the time. So anything that I can have that makes me look like a better seamstress definitely is a tool I want. So then we have nice, really pretty even top stitching. Didn't take me a whole lot of effort to get those nice and straight. And then we kind of set that aside. And then when we get ready to top stitch through our leather onto our bag, it's really important that you make sure whichever side you're getting ready to top stitch on, you throw that lining fabric to the opposite side because you don't want to top stitch through your lining fabric. Makes it quick and easy to get that top stitching done. And then we're going to do the other side, but we have to remember, make sure we flip over both pieces of the lining because we don't want to sew through the lining on that side, especially after we did so good and didn't do it on the first side. I have made like 5 of these bags now. I can't believe I haven't done it on one of them yet. I think because I knew I was going to tell you guys over and over again, don't stitch on your lining. Don't top stitch through your lining. That it made me better at it myself. So from here, once we have this all top stitched, we're going to have a measurement. It's 6 and I believe 1/4 inches to the bottom of the leather. Let me just double check that in my... Yes. Oh, yes. Somebody asked if Centerville has the foot for the FOF, and yes, we do. 6 1/4 inches from the, so we're going to measure 6 1/4 inches like we did last time from that edge of the zipper. Let's see if I can do this without making you too dizzy. From the edge of that zipper down. Gotta turn my ruler the right way. And just trim up the bottom of it. And if your bag is slightly, oblonged at the one end, like mine, it was a little bit longer on the one edge, it's not a big deal because we're trimming this up nice and square before we go on to the next step. The name of the foot that I'm using is the right, the right edge bi-level foot. There's also a left edge top stitch foot, which would work as well. You're just going to turn the fabric the opposite direction to make sure that that is. And make sure that, when you're trimming everything up, you've got, I open up so my lining is flat with my front of my bag, and I get everything nice and even and trim. I don't think you need to see me actually cut. Just a second. So we're not making you dizzy with the camera. So when I do it, I just make sure that my lining is opened up nice and neat, and I trim off so I have nice, clean, pretty edges down here at the bottom. Let's see. I'm just trying to see what else I want to, if there's anything else I really want to hit home. One of the big things that I want you to make sure you're doing is following those measuring points so you know right where to measure to. And also you're going to trim up the excess leather off of the sides as well. So you're going to get those nice and cleaned up and even before you move on to start stitching. So you're just getting rid of all that excess hangover, that leather that you have. This particular bag I'm working on is the pink felt. And once you have everything trimmed up nice and even, you're going to make sure that you open up the zipper all the way before you go to the next step. So you're going to open that all the way, let's see, like that. And you're going to put your right sides, the front and back, right sides together, and front and back of the lining together. And you can pin this if you're ready to, or on the side with the leather, I used the clover clips when I did it instead. Or if you are brave and you're not a pinner, this is not a long distance, so you can do that. You're going to use, I used a 1/4 inch foot, and on this one, you'll notice in the video, I used one with a guide on the edge of it. You can definitely use the foot with the guide, but I would recommend if you have a 1/4 inch foot without the guide, it'll just make it a little easier when you get to some of the bulk, and there's a lot of stuff that you're having to go through. It'll keep you from getting that guide caught. And you'll see in my videos that I had to stop a few times and make sure that guide got up over some of the threads and that sort of thing to get across. But from here, we're just going to stitch a 1/4 inch down the end, the short end of the bag. And we're going to do this on, oh, except I forgot to change my, guess what they got to see though? Yes. So, okay, I'm going to need you to go get me another needle. Okay, so I'll tell you what I just did. Remember how I moved that needle position over for my top stitching? I got so excited to stitch the next step, and I put my 1/4 inch foot on that has a hole only in the center, and then I landed my needle right on top of my foot. Now, the machine I'm using is the Creative Icon, which has extremely high piercing power, and so what it did was it tried to go through that foot because it just thought that it was like a really thick fabric or seam, and it was like, no, I'm gonna do it, until it snapped the needle. So we're going to go back here and we're going to make sure we put the needle back in the center position. And we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch the right way. Because as soon as I saw it go down, I knew what I did. Okay, so now we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch. Not into the foot. We're going to stitch through the hole in the foot. So learn from me. When you finish your top stitching, make sure you go back and reset your stitch to the center position before you move on and talk about something else. Once you have that side done, you're going to flip it around to the opposite end. And you're going to do a 1/4 inch stitch down the 2 lining pieces, just like we did on the front and back piece. And I was not good and didn't pin this like I should have, so I'm just... You could definitely wonder clip it. And through the leather, you don't want to stick the pins through it, so I would highly recommend wonder clipping through the leather. I just was a bad teacher and I left my wonder clips downstairs. Okay, so now I think I want you to go back to the other camera for just a minute so they can see this. Okay, so now we have this just like this, 2 lining pieces together, 2 bottom pieces together. They're stitched at the top and the bottom, so it's like a tube, right? With our zipper, so you can see that well. Okay, now we're going to turn it right side out. So we have it all nice and right side out. And I like to use the roll and press tool to open up that. Yeah, I think I left it downstairs too. I am such a bad person today. I must have left part of my bucket downstairs. So I'm going to just flatten that out nice and neat. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stuff the outside pretty parts of the bag into the lining. I know that seems weird because it's all open on the sides and we just right-sided it out. But so now it's in the lining. The lining's on the outside. The pretty parts are on the inside. Does this make sense? And then our zipper is still open, but I like to we had it open all the way. I like to pull it back just a little bit. So it kind of puts this, it closes this end here, but this end is still going to be open. Okay. And then you're going to take your Wonder Clips. And you're going to Wonder Clip this. I'm going to use pins because I have them right here so I can show you. And you can definitely use pins, but when you get down to the bottom part of the bag where the leather is, you're not going to want to pin them. I'm going to show you what this looks like here. Just 1 second. So you want to make sure that bottom seam on your lining and that bottom seam on your leather kind of line up with each other. And you're going to pin the sides or Wonder Clip the sides, both sides. And you're going to make sure that your zipper is kind of where the zipper is in the center. So like on these two, it's going to make it easier that you line up. Can you see that? I know that's not very focused. They're lined up. You just don't want like one high and one low. You want those teeth as close to lined up as possible. And then I stick a pin in there as well. But I try to stick it a little bit further down so that I can sew and it can be there. So I just stick a little pin in my zipper. And then you're going to sew a 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch here, and 1/4 inch here. This is where using the foot without the flange kind of is nice because when you have that flange, sometimes like where this surged edge is, or you're coming off the leather and you're going down, if you pull out your hump jumper, that could help you on this part if you are, getting stuck and you need a little hump jumping. I'm just going to do this real quick. You don't necessarily need. We're going to get there. The handle we're not there yet. I'm going to show you that. It's pretty fancy little trick. I feel like I should like sing or something now while I'm stitching this. I know, right? I'm not normally so sewy, but there's a lot of sewing steps to this one that could be. Okay, so now I've sewn up my sides here. And oh, I did something wrong. You're going to have to ignore what I forgot a step. Oh, goodness. I'm so sorry. I got so carried away. Hold on 1 second. So ignore me because what I just stitched was not right. You don't want to do that. We had to open up first. I didn't open up. I was like making a regular zipper bag. I'm sorry. Aren't you glad that I mess up too? Not that any of you guys ever mess anything up. I just got so excited. I got a step ahead of myself. Oh no. I never mess up, but I'm really fast at ripping. And I don't even have a ripper. I'm using scissors. I'm so sorry, everybody. You guys are gonna fire me, aren't you? Okay. Almost there. A rewind. Yeah. Yeah, we need a rewind. Okay. Okay. So when we're here and we're open and we have our zipper, okay, before we sew that 1/4 inch, I forgot, we have to flatten this out and then sew our 1/4 inch. Okay. So we pin. I just totally forgot. I totally forgot to flatten it. It's totally Liz's job. Yeah. It was all her fault. Thank you, Vicky. Yes, and this is where your Wonder Clips will come in super handy because we're going to fold it flat like this so that your zipper and your bottom seam line up with each other. And then we're going to sew a 1/4 inch here and a 1/4 inch here. So please don't make my mistake. Do it the right way because I don't want to mess you up. Thanks, Vicky. I'm glad you got my back. I'll remember this. So I'm going to stitch faster. I will remember this. Okay, so that I did it right now. Plus, you guys are smart and you'll have your directions right beside you while you're doing it. And you'll read them. I'll make sure that the video doesn't have mistakes. No, the video does not have. She will cut out my mistakes and says things like, cut this out. Yeah, you girls would love to see an unedited video as I do things because I'll say, "Oh, Liz, cut that out. Cut that out. Don't show them that part." Okay, so now that I have not messed this up, now this is what it's going to look like. Your zipper here, you're going to have a flat piece, okay? And then from there, we're going to mark a 1-inch square on each one of these corners. So do you want to, here, wait, let's do, no, I'm sure. Okay. Why don't you come over here to this little guy so they can see what I'm doing correctly this time. Correctly. Yep, this one. I don't know that it should be. So we're going to take this bag now that we have it. Can they see the whole thing? There you go. What we're going to do is we're just going to mark an inch corner on all these 4 black corners. And make sure if you're using a ruler that's got a 1/2 inch on it, make sure you're using the side that is not your 1/2 inch so that you have just 1-inch corners. And then you're going to take your good sharp scissors and you're going to cut those corners out through all the layers. So this is what you're going to have. Pretty fancy, right? Now we're going to take this And we're going to open it up to create a box corner. Across here. We're going to do the same thing on this side and go across here and create our box corner. You're going to lay it out flat, sew a 1/4 inch across, and I would definitely recommend back stitching at the front and the back. And then, except I did that backwards. Man, I'm on a roll. I was trying to be real. I gotta shake it off. Gotta walk this off. So we're gonna do the 2 box corners, but the first 2 that I would tell you to do is to do the back 2. So on the side where the zipper is closest to it, that's going to be the opposite end of where it is when we close the zipper, right? So where it would open to, I would do these 2 first. Square it off. Square it off. And the reason I say that is because how we're going to put the handle in, and I need them to be able to see this real good. So let's move this up. Okay. What if I just do this? Okay. So this is the end of the zipper where when we are finished with this and we close the bag, this is where the zipper pull is going to be. Okay. So before we sew these box corners up on this side, we're going to take our handle and we're going to slide it inside the bag. And as you flatten this out, you're going to center that into that flattened area. And you're going to stitch this across here. And then you're going to curl this up on this side. And we're going to stitch across here. And that's going to make our box corners. And then we're going to turn it right side out and our handle's going to be attached. Does that make sense? That's the cool way you put the handle in. It's all finished in those box corner stitches. I used a 90 needle when I did it. I probably wouldn't go smaller than that. I don't know that you necessarily need to go bigger than that, but I did make sure I had a new needle in before I started this project. Oh, I used I put a new 90 needle in prior to starting the project. And I do definitely backstitch. As I go across there. I'm going to do some stitching. And this is definitely a place where you kind of want to take your time. Because there's a lot of layers here. You want to make sure you're catching all of that in those box corners. So that's, again, the Wonder Clips come in handy here to give you a nice grip on where everything's going. And it helps if you stick your tongue out. And then you're going to trim off your excess zipper. And I cleaned up all my threads that are in there. And then you're going to turn this Presto Changeo. Poke out all your corners.
So now, how did you do the other project?
Ta-da. Your handle's all attached. Part of your leather. You're good to go.
They're right here.
I know. I'm trying to show them, but make sure they can see it. So, all of that is in your instructions, as well as you're going to get videos for all of that as well.
With no needle breakage.
With no needle breakage and no sewing the wrong seam, because that was my bad. So, we have some time, and I can show you a couple of the other projects and how I got there. Is there anything, does anybody have like a vote? Like, would you rather see how we sized the Christmas tree down and up? Or would you like to see how we did placement on the shape for the,
We fold over the leather on the handle, so only one side is unfinished.
can you fold over the leather? Yeah, you could just cut the piece instead of cutting it 2 pieces 1.25 inches wide. You could cut it 2.5 inches and just fold it in half and top stitch it.
And where did you put it?
The lips were designed from the Husqvarna Viking machines. It's built into a lot of them. Terry, it's on your machine. You have it. It's in, I think, the second category of built-in designs. You want to see the Christmas tree? Okay. Okay.
You'll have to show it to see it at the beginning.
Okay. So the Christmas tree. So we're going to switch to the computer so you can see what exactly we did with that. So you have to switch to software.
Oh, Lord.
We're going to switch to some software so you can see how the Christmas tree and the resizing works. You're going to want this because it has the design file on it.
I don't have a USB.
Well, you can unhook the camera.
I
Oh, man.
Okay, I'm gonna roll it out your mic for a second. Tell them if you go dark.
If you lose sound, just shoot a thing in the comment box. We should be okay, but just making sure.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Here. And let me go to here. And bam. Okay. Let me close this.
Okay. So to create this Christmas tree design out of the mustaches, man bag 5x7. Yep. We took the original design. Yep. Do the 260 by 200. So we're going to change our hoop size and hoop orientation so that it's vertical, just so we don't have to make a Christmas tree on our side. Okay. So the first thing we have to do is get rid of the word man bag and get rid of the positioning stitch. So we're going to go to the Modify tab, or you're going to make sure the design has a selection box around it and then go to the Modify tab. And then over on the right-hand side, you're going to uncheck the bottom two. No, the bottom two. Or, well, wait a minute. I'm sorry. We're going to uncheck the middle two, middle two colors over in the thread color panel. So color number 1 is the placement stitch and color number 4 is the words man bag. So those are the things we want to get rid of. So we're going to uncheck the other two that make the mustache so that they're gone away, and we're going to say select all visible. So that's only going to put a selection box around the things that are on the screen. And then we're going to hit the delete key or the delete command. And that's going to leave us just with the placement stitch and the tack down stitch for the mustache. From there, we're going to go back to the Home tab. And we're going to make sure there's still a selection box around the mustache. We're going to go up to the words resize. Resize. You can duplicate it now, or yeah.
So, do they know the difference between copy and duplicate? No? Okay. So, you're going to have to translate. So, if they ever notice there's a duplicate button and there's a copy button, the difference between duplicate and copy is when you hit duplicate, see how it offsets it from the original?
Copy a little on top.
Yep.
So before we make any adjustments to the first mustache that we have on there, because that's our original, and we kind of want to keep our original the original, we're going to have the original on screen, and we're going to go up to the commands, and we're going to touch the term duplicate. When you duplicate it, if you notice, it offsets it and doesn't lay it right on top, and it puts a copy of it in the clipboard over on the lower right hand side. If you hit copy, it's going to copy it, but it's overlaying it right on top of the original. If you do copy and paste, it's going to overlay it on top of the original one. So it just works easier if you use duplicate, because it duplicates the design over and over and it offsets it so we know where it is. So we're going to duplicate the mustache. We've got resize turned on, which means our handles are blue now in the corner. If you notice, those little boxes in the corner are blue. That means we're in resize mode. If they're white, we're in scaling mode. Resize means it's going to change your stitch count. Scale means it's only going to change the size of the design, but it's going to keep the same stitch count. So if you look at the stitch numbers up in the design panel, she made it larger by using the white handles, which are the scale. You see that the design number didn't change. It's the same. So she's going to undo that. She's going to turn the resize on, and if you watch when she drags it, that number is going to change this time. So it added more stitches. So we want to make sure that our handles are blue, so our resize button is turned on, and we're going to go up to not the Modify tab, but on the toolbar where it says Modify Design. In here, we can increase or decrease this design size by a percentage, and we can do it proportionally. So we're going to increase this by 15%. So we put 115 in and touch OK. So we have a little bit bigger mustache. Now we're going to go back to the original mustache, select it, and click duplicate. We're going to go to Modify Design again. And this time we're going to increase to 130%. We're going to go back to the original mustache, duplicate, and increase to 145% under the modified design. Now we're going to go back to the original, select it, duplicate, go to modify design again, and decrease it by 15. She said I made her do the math. To 85. I'm going to go back to the original, duplicate, and we're going to reduce by 30. And then I think I did one more. You can go larger or smaller, whatever makes your heart happy. Smaller. It was smaller. Mm-hmm. So now we've got all of our mustaches in resized design elements. And we have alignment tools where we can select these. So you can go to select all and go to your alignment tools. And we want to, yep. So she used, okay, yeah, she's going to move some of these around so that you can see how that this tool is going to line those up. She's tooting her own horn about how good she lined them up that you couldn't even see how far that they had to fix themselves. And yes, Vicky, this video will be sent. So now she's going to select all. She's going to go to her alignment tools, horizontal alignment, and align to center. And it lines them all up. And you can also go to alignment and do vertical alignment and distribute them vertically. She again had them pretty well set, but this would, if you had them too close together, it would space them out evenly. It'll move them into position. So you've got those alignment tools that they're really handy, and a lot of times people don't use them. They just try to eyeball everything. The software will do this for you, which is really a handy tool. So now once you have these here, you can go up to your super designs because we need a tree topper, right? So we're going to go to super designs. And we're going to type in star under the search. I used the red one there. That's just the outline, but you could pick a star or a snowflake or whatever you wanted to. It's set at 50 millimeters. I think I just stuck with that. Go ahead and just apply it. Oh, that might be a little big for your tree. Maybe you want it smaller. So you can right click and go to properties and adjust your size. And again, you can use your alignment tools and do that as well to get it nice and even. And then I wanted to add lettering to mine, so I added the words Candy Stash by going to the lettering tab. Yep. You could put the year down there, and it could be your trunk. It's very cute. And now you have a cute little Christmas tree made from mustaches that nobody would ever know were mustaches. Or maybe they would know they were mustaches. I saw a t-shirt that had a Christmas tree made of mustaches that said, "Fear the stash." I don't know why we fear the stash, but you know, it's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, that is super cute.
Super cute and super easy. So look how you can look at some of your different embroidery elements and you can create other embroidery designs out of them using your software. A lot of fun.
Oh, I love that one. That was my favorite.
That's your favorite?
My favorite.
That's Liz's favorite. She likes a Christmas tree mustache. A mustache Christmas tree. So lots of fun things we can do with your
Too far beyond me.
it's not too far beyond you. But the other thing that we can do, and why don't you get a new hoop? I'm going to make her do something else because we have a couple minutes. Okay, so go back and insert. I'm going to have her insert the original design. Okay, we'll just rotate it for us so that we, okay. So a lot of you had asked, like, what do I do if I want to put a monogram here instead of the words man bag? We're going to do the same thing where we have the design selected and go to the modify tab. And we're going to just get rid of the pink. So we're going to keep the top one, no, uncheck all three of the top three colors. Okay. And then we're just going to have the word man bag. We're going to select it and delete it. And now we have, all we have left are the placement stitch because we want to keep that. We're still going to make this little, why can't I think of the word? Dob kit. We're still going to make this little dob kit. So we want the positioning stitch to be there with the mustache. And so we just got rid of the word man bag this time. And now we can just go up to our letter tab.
Man, you're rubbing off on me.
And you can select a font. About 15 millimeters I found works well, 15 to 18. So I'm going to have her pick a font. And type in a monogram type initials. So we type in the initials. Nope, it goes right below that. So it's going to go between the positioning line and the mustache. And you can let's make sure it's selected, select all. Right. Yeah. So she just centered that monogram. She used that little key in the center and centered the middle to the center of the mustache, put it in position, and now you have a monogrammed mustache for your mustache bag. Easy peasy. Does anybody have any questions? Comments? Okay, if we don't have any questions or things tonight for this, we have one question for you all. and that is next month. We are doing the Kimberbell Blank is.
So you saved and exported?
Yeah, we didn't save and export on that video there or that demo, but yes, that would be the next step on any of those embroidery designs. I would save a working file as a VP4 and then I would export it as a VP3 ready to stitch in my machine. So that is where you would go from there. So next month, Kimberbell Blank is a baby bodysuit. It's actually a pair of baby bodysuits. So you get 2 blush, 1 polka dot and 1 stripe, or 2 gray, 1 polka dot and 1 stripe. So what we're doing is they're sending us a assortment pack of different sizes and colors. So what we're doing is we're trying to get everybody to let us know what size, if size and color would be your first pick, your second pick, and even your third pick, or if you don't have a preference, that's fine too. So if you have already responded to this question and we have you on a list, you don't need to answer it again. But if you haven't responded, and we don't know what baby bodysuit color and size you're looking for, we're gonna have you insert that. Is it gonna be in their chat box? How's it gonna come up? You're gonna get a poll. You're gonna get a question that's launched to you. And I just need to make sure that your name is attached to where it's coming from and what size and color.
Yes, there we go.
Oh, so we see the poll.
See the poll.
But does it tell you who's answering?
It will, yes.
Okay, good. So, if you will just let us know
Oh, look at this.
what you're looking for.
Exciting for me, people. Very exciting.
She's very excited about this poll. This is a brand new feature. So she's going to be able to poll you on all kinds of things. She's very excited. She loves forms and things, so she's very excited about this. So yeah, if you will just let us know. Vicky loves the poll. I love it. So if you will just let us know what size, we will try and make it work out that everybody gets, their first pick. If you don't have a preference, that's greatly appreciated too. Just let us know. Did you put on there no preference? You didn't. If you don't have a preference and you don't want to put it in the poll, you could just type it in the chat box with your name and say whatever's fine with me. We have a lot of them. So, but this, I don't know. Can they see this? This is a picture of the baby bodysuit. Can they see that?
I'm gonna end the poll. Does anybody else need? I'm gonna end the poll. Okay, it's already on the list.
Okay.
Anybody?
Anybody?
And 5 seconds.
The poll is closing.
I don't know where the poll shows up.
If you don't see it, just type it in the chat box with your name and your color preference and size. She wanted to test out the poll and see how it worked. I wonder if we can poll people during Facebook Live on Mondays.
Well, okay. I haven't said anything to you about this yet.
So one other thing, if you didn't see it or we sent out an email about it to everybody who's an existing member of Kimberbell fill in the blank for the first 6 months of the year. We have started taking signups for the second 6 months of the year, which would be July through December. And since you're already current fill in the blank club members, the price for the second 6 months is $109. Because you're already fill in the blank members, we're going to do a $10 loyalty discount, and so it'll be $99 for your 6 months worth of blanks, classes, videos, all the extra bonuses and goodies. And Yeah, if anybody has questions on, how something was made, because I know there were a lot of things made this month that were outside of the normal project. If you have questions on any of that, we will put that out there for you. Let us know and we'll answer that. Yeah. Yes, I did use the AccuQuilt dye for the stocking. I will tell you, I had this design already stitched. You could cut the stocking out first and then stitch it. I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do with the design at the time. I had a couple different ideas. I thought about making a drawstring candy bag for it, a couple different things. So then when I decided I wanted to do the stocking, I thought I'm a little nervous to just throw it on the die and cut it because I was afraid I might not get it straight with the embroidery. So I used a piece of pattern tracing paper and cut this out with my die, and then I just laid this over my embroidered rectangle of fabric, got it positioned how I wanted, and cut it with my rotary cutter. And then cut the rest of the stocking pieces that didn't matter with the die.
I want to make the flamingos for outdoor pillows. What with that on? Be your own kind of beautiful.
The flamingos. Was it the one with the Okay, that was a monthly meetup from 20
It was middle of COVID. It was 20.
So it was during 2020. That was a monthly meetup. So if you didn't come to that monthly meetup or didn't attend that monthly meetup, those designs are available. They're $12 and you can get the design and instructions. The next time you stop in the store, we can load that onto a USB stick for you. Just let somebody know. Yes. Yes. There's a question about the Christmas Grinch bag. Are you linking? She's going to try and link the video to you, Miss Terry. Black Friday was fun, all those videos. So there is the link for the Christmas Grinch bag. Sure, you're welcome. Maybe we have to do it in July. Maybe we'll do a Christmas in July day. Would you like a Christmas in July day? She's excited. She could make a poll and find out if you'd like another. I'm sorry if you don't like participating in polls, but I have a feeling you're going to get a lot of polls here to come. Should we have a poll about polls?
Who likes polls?
That would give me plenty of time to make ideas. That's true. It would give us ideas on time.
July, yes.
Christmas in July.
I'm gonna put that on the calendar.
Put it on the calendar. July's
Christmas in July.
going to be here before we know it.
Whoa, we could have a live audience for that.
So yeah, a lot of fun.
She found the spinner on Facebook.
Oh, she doesn't know about the spinner. Now that's gonna be her nightly task tonight. She's gonna go home and
I'm sort of transitioning
lay in.
Because we do have a lot of customers that are not Facebookers,
Yeah.
and they don't like that. They like
Right.
to watch it, but they don't like that they can't comment.
Yeah, we're looking into maybe kind of transferring some stuff over to YouTube. Not doing away with Facebook, but just making some more of our live things available through YouTube instead of Facebook because that's more accessible to people who aren't necessarily on Facebook. So that might be something that is coming so you can make more comments and things. My t-shirt says You're going to have to read it because I can't read this
Can't
one.
get out of the sewing room.
I can't get out of the sewing room.
Fabric has accepted me.
The fabric has accepted me as one of their own. And if I leave now, I may lose their trust. This was one of our Paducah shirts, I think, one year.
Which we are ready to go for Paducah in 2022.
Paducah's coming back for spring of 2022. We're getting on board. Where did you get that? It's cute. We had them made here at Sew A Lot. Anytime we have an event or a show, we make cute saying shirts, and we usually sell them during the events or during the shows, but I think we are completely out of this one. So yeah. Well, I hope that you all enjoyed and learned something new tonight. That is always the goal. And we'll see what fun things we can come up with for the small fry French fries and the baby onesies for next month. They're always working a challenge for me to come up with some new and innovative fun things. Thank you. So you all have a wonderful evening. If you have any questions about anything you saw or see or want to know about, don't hesitate to send us an email or stop in the store. We'll be glad to walk you through it. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.